In the headlines, discussants at Daily Trust Annual Dialogue observe agenda of leading presidential contenders have no clear roadmap to actualization. House of Representatives threaten arrest of CBN governor over failure to appear before members. Goods worth millions of naira destroyed in Balogun market fire. And on the foreign scene, Ethiopia's Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in Sudan on first visit since coup. Hello and welcome to Trust News Update. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman. Now the news in full. House of Representatives has threatened to issue arrest warrants against the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, and other heads of commercial banks who have failed to honor their invitations on issues around the new Naira notes. This followed the CBN governor's failure to honor another invitation of the House this Thursday. The Speaker has meanwhile insisted that commercial banks are obliged to continue to receive the old Naira notes 5 months after the CBN's deadline. The Speaker quoted Section 20, Subsection 3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act that compels the CBN to also redeem the face value of the recalled currency upon demand, even after the expiration of the recall and notwithstanding the deadline imposed by the CBN. The Speaker also stated that the duration of the exercise should be between 2 to 5 months, adding that this information must be passed to the CBN and the general public.
That the House of Representatives recognizes the Central Bank of Nigeria's authority to determine the country's legal tender and to recall currency with reasonable notice, subject to the approval of the President. The House is also aware that Section 20, Subsection 3 of the Central Bank of Nigeria Act mandates the CBN to redeem the face value of the recalled currency upon demand, even after the expiration of the notice of recall.
Similarly, residents of Katsina State expressed anger against the Naira redesign policy during President Muhammadu Buhari's visit to the state. The residents staged the protest at Kofar Kaura, Kofar Kwaya, and on Yahaya Madaki Way in Katsina, saying the economic policy of the government is not working. They lamented the current hardship being experienced by residents to President Muhammadu Buhari's leadership style. The protesters burned tires, threw stones and other items while booing the presidential convoy. The protesters mentioned high cost of living occasioned by redesigned new Naira notes, fuel scarcity, inflation and insecurity as a result of bad leadership of the Buhari-led federal government. Business owners are shutting down businesses due to fear of losing their money after January 31st deadline set by CBN to end the use of the old 1,500 and 200 Naira notes. Hawa Ibrahim, a small restaurant operator in Kaduna Metropolis, says she cannot buy foodstuff as the traders at the market are no longer accepting the old notes. This, she said, has left her with no option than to shut down her business pending the availability of the redesigned Naira notes. The report.
This is Hawa Ibrahim's restaurant. On a regular day, it is usually filled with customers, but it is empty today, as she cannot continue to collect the old Naira note for the fear of losing her money.
We have stopped accepting the affected note because if we go to the bank, there is a long queue for depositing the money. Besides, the redesigned Naira note are not even available at the bank.
She buys foodstuffs at the market, but according to her, the traders set Wednesday 25th January as deadline for accepting the affected Naira notes.
The traders at the market where we buy foodstuffs said, henceforth they will stop accepting the old notes and we don't have the new Naira notes.
Hawa says she is shutting down her business pending the availability of the new Naira notes.
We are shutting down the business for 1 week or beyond, pending the availability of the redesigned notes.
The January 31st deadline to stop the use of old currency and the unavailability of the redesigned Naira note is creating panic in Kaduna as CBN maintains its stance of no going back on the deadline. Bello Musa, Trust TV News, Kaduna.
Goods worth millions of naira were destroyed when fire gutted a 3-story building housing clothes and shoes in the popular Balogun market on Lagos Island. It was gathered that fire was put out at midnight on Thursday by emergency responders but restarted around 3 a.m. The Southwest coordinator of the National Emergency Management Agency explained that the building housed warehouses and firefighters had difficulties gaining access to the building because of the iron bars. He, however, said the fire had been contained before it could spread to other buildings. In a separate statement, the Lagos State Emergency Management Agency said the cause of the fire could not be immediately ascertained, while no casualty was recorded in the incident. And in politics, the All Progressives Congress Presidential Campaign Council says no attempt to create conflict between Asiwaju Bola Tinubu and President Muhammadu Buhari will succeed. Director, Media and Publicity of the Campaign Council, Bayo Onanuga, said this in a statement on Thursday in Abuja. Onanuga was reacting to a media report alleging that Tinubu had blamed Buhari for the current fuel scarcity as well as the CBN Naira redesign at a rally in Abeokuta. He added that Tinubu is only attracting government's attention to the sabotage being carried out by some fifth columnists in the system working in cahoots with the PDP. Onanuga said Tinubu is aware of the salutary efforts by Buhari to end the fuel queues by chairing a 14-man panel, even though the fuel queues had continued. The APC PCC Director of Media and Publicity said the fifth columnist often threw spanners in the works against good intentions and programs of the government. As the 2023 elections draw nearer, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Plateau State says more than 50% of permanent voter cards are yet to be collected. The head of voter education of the commission in the state, Gurube Otokpa, who disclosed this in Jos, said the development requires urgent attention to enable more people to participate in the elections. Ado Musa has more.
According to the INEC head of voter education in Plateau State, Elrube Otopa, hundreds of thousands of PVCs remain uncollected in the various offices of the commission across the state. Otopa said all stakeholders, especially religious and political parties, must rise to the occasion and educate people on the need to collect their PVCs ahead of the exercise.
As at 15 January 2023, PVC collection rate is 45%. With thousands of PVC yet to be collected. This is a huge challenge requiring urgent attention. The Honorable Rector Agudu warned that if this trend continues and the lukewarm attitude is not checked, we may have a situation where a large percentage of people will not be participating in the elections.
While the Commission is lamenting the refusal of registered voters to collect their PVCs, some voters at the Jos North INEC office, however, faulted the collection process, saying it was very difficult to get the PVCs at the Commission's offices.
I lost my BVC card. Are you getting? Then I have been trying to get it. They said that my listener has been multiple registration, that I should re-register again so that they will capture my real data on my old PVC, which I did. You know, after doing it, coming now to collect, they say that it enters update instead of putting replacement on it. So that we should wait. Maybe they will print more.
It has been stressful because this is the fourth time of me coming here before I was able to get mine.
Recently, the Electoral Empire took the distribution of the PVCs to the ward levels for easy collection, but thousands of voters are yet to collect theirs. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Discussants at the 20th Daily Trust Dialogue examined the quality of blueprints of presidential candidates seeking electoral mandates and observed there is no clear roadmap on how to actualize the agenda. Trust TV's Shafiu Suleiman reports that there is a consensus amongst participants for collective demand for elections to hold despite the reservations, just as the nation was tasked to use the polls and solidify its democratic leadership in Africa.
The 20th Daily Trust Dialogue is themed Interrogating the 2023 Presidential Agenda. Setting the tone of discussion, Chairman, Board of Directors, Media Trust Limited, Malam Kabir Yusuf, expressed worry over discordant tunes as the nation goes to the poll next month, asking stakeholders to give Nigeria a chance.
Indeed, if all the citizens of this country ignore the provocations, Nigeria could be the ultimate winner at the polls. So it is obviously in our collective interest to give this poor yet rich country another chance to rise from the ashes.
Reiterating the commitment of the United States to the elections in Nigeria, U.S. Ambassador tasked the nation to solidify its democratic leadership in Africa. Just as she said, U.S. visa ban target those working to undermine the election.
Individuals who undercut or undermine the democratic process in any way, including through intimidation and violence, may be found ineligible for visas to travel to the United States. We have taken steps in the past to impose U.S. visa restrictions against those complicit in undermining the electoral process, and you may have seen that Secretary Blinken announced just yesterday that we have identified specific individuals for such past actions.
Interrogating the agenda of the frontline presidential candidates, the panelists raised questions on the structures and actions plan of the flag bearers to execute their promises in the face of existing factors undermining the actual growth and development of the nation.
It's nice for the political class to scare us as much as it has been done today, with the likelihood of everything going wrong within the period of an election. It's the responsibility of every government in power to ensure at this moment that the country is in a state in which we can actually have an election.
Simply because whenever anybody takes an oath of office, they place their hand on the Bible or Quran to swear to uphold the Constitution. They don't place their hand on the Constitution and start swearing to uphold the Bible or Quran.
We can buy competence, we can buy capacity, we cannot buy character. So as we plan to vote, please look at the antecedents of the candidates. Yes, none of them is perfect.
There is no secret in the conduct of public affairs in Nigeria. Most of us know what's happening. We know those who are stealing, we know how far the stealing goes. We may not know all.
Nigerians will go to the polls on the 25th of next month to elect a new president and members of the National Assembly. But the political atmosphere is consistently becoming uncertain due to comments by political actors and the frightening insecurity in some parts of the country, even as the electoral umpire and security agencies remain positive about the conduct of the elections. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
You're watching Trust News Update. Coming up after the break. Police arrest suspected terrorists, 3 informants in Zamfara. Do stay.
That's great. It's good to see you.
part of efforts to support Africa's goal of strengthening.
Now looking at the activity chart, as you can see right here, a total volume of 130.
Created a Boko Haram crisis that at that time was restricted to Yobe.
How secure are they? You can see security men with blood.
This is the road leading up to the
Already, if you look at England squad, you are looking at EPL, you are looking at their names. You are not looking at
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You're still watching Trust News Update, a recap of our top stories. You heard that discussants at Daily Trust Annual Dialogue observe a gender of leading presidential contenders have no clear roadmap to actualization. You also heard that House of Representatives threaten arrest of CBN governor over failure to appear before members. Moving to security, Minister of Defense Major General Bashir Magashi, retired, has called for a new border security template to reduce cross-border crimes. The minister made the recommendation in a statement on Wednesday at a meeting with a delegation of experts of the United Nations Independent High-Level Panel on Security, Governance and Development in the Sahel. He appealed to the United Nations to support Nigeria with funds to enable it curb the insecurity confronting the nation. The minister noted that Nigeria is contributing more than other cooperating states in counterpart funding, deployment of manpower, and provision of other logistics in the multinational joint task force. This is why he suggested that the United Nations step up the resources being injected into the promotion of global peace and regional economic prosperity. This, he believes, will reduce the high level of poverty at all levels. Police in Zamfara State have arrested 8 suspects for various offences. The offences range from banditry, kidnapping, cattle rustling, fraud, criminal conspiracy, and culpable homicide. The report.
The police public relations officer of the Zamfara State Police Command, Muhammad Shehu, who briefed journalists on behalf of the Commissioner of Police, CP Kolo Yusuf, stated that police operatives apprehended 8 suspects, including a terrorist, bandit informant, and drug suppliers to the terrorists. He told journalists that on the 24th January 2023, police detectives acted on an intelligence report which led to the arrest of the 3 suspects who were residing in Bugundu local government area of Zamfara State, northwest Nigeria. According to him, activities of the suspects have aggravated the security challenges in 3 local governments of Bugundu, Kawaran Namuda, and Birnin Magaji.
The onslaught since its commencement had resulted in the unprecedented arrest of over 250 suspects for banditry-related cases, as well as recovery of arms and ammunition ranging from AK-47, AK-49, RPGs, rocket launchers, GPMG, LAR, and other caliber of sophisticated rifles.
The police image maker and the state also said the police operative arrested a suspect identified as 46-year-old Ali Abdullahi from Gubuchi in Kaduna State, who specializes in criminal conspiracy, kidnapping, and cattle rustling.
Police tactical operatives on confidence-building patrol along Sabia Munhaye Forest acted on intelligence and conducted a rigorous patrol with a view to arresting some gun runners who were on their way to Munhaye Forest to supply arms and ammunition to the bandits.
Items recovered from the suspects were 15 fabricated rifles, 146 rounds of live ammunition, dry leaves suspected to be Indian hemp, and the sum of 1 million naira.
Border communities in Katsina State have acknowledged the efforts of the Nigerian Customs Service in curtailing insecurity in some parts of the state. Representatives of the emirs of Katsina and Aura stated this while speaking at a customs community forum held in Katsina. Abdullahi Yamadi completes the report.
The Customs Service was appreciated for securing the nation's land borders, especially at the heightened insecurity in Katsina State. This, the royal fathers say, has assisted significantly in reducing the menace of arms smuggling and other transborder crimes bedeviling residents of Katsina.
Nigerian Customs Service is one of the most misunderstood services of the nation, in the sense that they are observed principally as suppressors of smuggling. But suppression of smuggling is only an ancillary duty in the customs, which is essentially revenue collection of the federal government of Nigeria.
The forum also commended the State Command of the Customs Service for ease of doing business, adding that it has facilitated the flourishing import and export of goods and services since the reopening of Jibia border. The special advisor to Governor Masari on security matters, Ibrahim Katsina, said the state government enjoyed working with all security agencies, especially the Customs Service, at the time of heightened insecurity.
The security agencies that are in Katsina are here to help us complement our efforts and stabilize the state. So I'm urging all the citizens of Katsina to cooperate with members of the security agencies, with our traditional institution, so that they can perform optimally and assist our state to excel.
The Customs Service, meanwhile, says its achievements were made possible with the support it enjoys from citizens of Katsina State.
I'm glad to inform you that since the reopening of the border, the command was able to generate a total sum of 935,306,275 naira 39 kobo only. Within the period under review, which is far more than 60,842,789 naira 87 kobo, allocated as revenue target for the command in the year 2022.
The Katsina Area Command of the Nigeria Customs Service conducted the stakeholders around some seized and detained vehicles and general goods. This is part of the command's anti-smuggling activities from the third week of December 2022 to date.
The command was able to record 379 arrests. Out of the total number of 379 arrests, 258 were converted to seizures after thorough investigations, with a duty paid value of 144,758,341 naira, 0 kobo.
The outgoing state controller of the service, Talhawada Chedi, however, called for more support and synergy from all stakeholders to enable the command record more successes. Abdullahi Ismail Ahmadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
On the foreign scene, Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on Thursday visited neighboring Sudan for meeting with Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, his first visit to Khartoum since a 2021 military coup there. Relations between the neighbors in the Horn of Africa have been fraught with tensions in recent years, including over a border dispute and refugees from the two-year conflict in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region. Sudan's ruling Sovereign Council said in a statement that Burhan and Abiy held talks on ways to strengthen and enhance bilateral relations. Tensions heightened between Khartoum and Addis Ababa following the conflict that broke out in November 2020 between Ethiopia's federal government and the Tigray People's Liberation Front. The fighting drove tens of thousands of people to seek refuge in Sudan. And finally, in sports, Africa's football governing body, CAF, has commiserated with the Mauritanian Football Association over the death of Mauritanian Football Association Vice President Pape Amgar Dieng. Dieng died on Tuesday night in Algeria following Mauritania's historic 1-0 victory against Mali in Oran. He has been hailed for his contribution as part of a leadership collective that has stirred Mauritania football on a path to success. And with this, we've come to the end of Trust News Update. Don't forget to follow us across all our social media platforms. I'm Darshan Husseina Usman. Thanks for watching.